them down after a while. But China stood up. So now China's really a world power. And, the question about this is, should we be afraid of China because they're a world power, or should we listen? What does China have to say about this? What is China doing in Africa? What is China doing in all over the world? And so if we don't understand that, we need to really take a step back and try to understand that.
Yeah.
So if we assign intentions to the Chinese which are not theirs, that might not be such a good idea. We might want to actually learn what they're doing. Well, we'd want to learn. I mean, if they're making mistakes, there are places there are mines in Peru and Ecuador which I think are just appalling, that are run by Chinese companies. So they should be, shamed and castigated, and they should deal with it. But you have to understand that's companies, not the government.
Yeah, but the common land, most of that is, they're farmers.
Common land is private equity.
Okay.
Common land represents large landowners and large family fortunes.
Okay.
So there are many family fortunes now in Europe which look at the current political economic situation and go, oh my God, this is all going down. So we have a huge family fortune, and here's the next generation, and the generation after that. What's going to happen to them? What are we doing with our family fortune? And so, okay, you could go backwards and say, well, where did you get your fortune exactly? Which is, you could do that. In one case, it's alcohol. A lot of alcohol. So, cheers, everybody. InBev.
No,
thank you, InBev. So
that was one of the big sponsors.
They're the biggest. Yeah, they're one of the biggest supporters of Common
Land. But Theory U is not. They're not. What is active in China? What drives?
Yeah, well,
how are they communicating?
What's happening
together?
It's way different than you imagine. So, China, in order to have a role in the world, decided to compete on a global scale. And they analyzed what's going on. And they said, oh, the West is playing Monopoly. Well, okay, let's play.
Play a long game.
And let's buy Boardwalk and Park Place. And, when you land on it 5 times, you're bankrupt, and we're going to survive. And so, essentially, that's what they've been doing. So, everything that the manufacturing, so the people in the West are addicted to consumption. So, the Chinese manufacture everything.
Yeah, but if we look at the environmental, where they've had successes and what they're doing now, how are they working with their communities, and how are they, in terms of creating this as a possibility?
Are you really interested in this? Because we're about to do something. I'll be in August. I'll be in South China, in Hunan, and we're going to do. We've already had a Theory U there, 3 days.
Okay.
It ended up with the young people in the village who mainly would leave to go to the cities to work, saying we want to stay in the village.
Well, that's what we're dealing with.
And create a farmers cooperative. And the government and a lot of other people are saying, well, we will help you. And so what a group of us have done is we've said we want to create a rural development design studio. So it's already been purchased. A piece of land and a place is there for it. The government has said, yes, please come and do that. The young people are like, please come and tell us what, help us to do something. So what we want to do is go there and show them, first of all, with the design studio, like we're going to do it all with mud and straw and adobe and cob and tiles and stone and wood, you know. So it's all local material. Maybe bamboo, because bamboo is a lot of bamboo there. So then every one of those is a teaching opportunity. We want to do the same thing that I'm recommending for South Africa, build a mechanical, woodworking, metalworking, and industrial sewing center, which can then just, you say what you need. Does the camp need 10 yurts? 10 yurts, you know, like what is it required? You know, it's easy. It's not difficult. It's very simple. How do you cut them? How do you know? You can find the plans now on the internet. You know, they're there. So it's not even difficult. You can do it with computers, or you can do it by hand. You can do it in any way you want. Then everything you can make with local materials. Make everything with local materials.
Yeah.
Use no industrial materials, and then teach the people in the informal communities and in the townships. This is what you need to have. You don't need to own this as a business.
The commons.
You need to have this level of technology for the whole community, because it solves everything. Anything which is broken, you can finish. You can fix. You can manufacture parts. If you once you get to the place where you understand what kind of capacity you have that capacity. I don't think you need 3D printing or computer numeric control. I mean, maybe later, but actually that's not what I would do in the beginning. I would just help the people go through the Industrial Revolution. So everything is there. You want to learn how to use it. You want to understand measurements. You want to understand the different tools. You want to see how important it is to have the right tools. Why is it important? All that. And then it's also an exercise in having these people from different races communicating with each other.
So really creating an equal space for everybody, sharing knowledge and just working together.
You're going to have trouble going into a township or an informal settlement and saying we're going to try to do something different here, because everybody's going to have they have an entrenched opinion about what it is. But if you make an ecosystem restoration camp in a massively degraded area of the country, and you welcome people who would like to come there and learn, and you give them 3 meals a day and a place to stay, and maybe even a small stipend, then I think a lot of people will go. And in terms of what happens for the society, you're going to get back soils. You're going to get back hydrology. You're going to get back vegetation and biodiversity. Well, that's huge. So in that time, I wouldn't overdo the work part. I'd actually say, let's limit the work. 5 hours a day, 5 days a week.
But what's interested me is you said the youth has really been the driver there. That's what they're the guys that are saying, "Come on, we're leading the future." So
they're the only ones with energy. You've got the old people, and they're practically the only ones left doing farming in China. And they can't do it anymore, and they know, so I'm 66. But you've got these people who are 70 or something like this, and they're not. They're like saying, "Well, how long am I going to be able to do this? I can't do it." There have to be young farmers, or we're done. And so that's what the government already knows that.
So they.
The government actually, the real answer to your question is go read the 5-year plans. So the Communist Party writes 5-year plans, and they're published in English. So go read the 5-year plans in English. And the last 4 have contained a sentence, a concept which is very interesting. It's called harmonious ecological civilization. So they are positing a post-materialistic society.
Wow.
They haven't got it, but you know how many scholars there are in China? You know, like it's just ridiculous. The population is huge. America makes me laugh anymore because the amount of yuppies in China is more than the entire population of the United States. So the Chinese yuppies are all these people who want to do yoga. You need to have a house which is super insulated, passive solar, and is completely functional. That's completely different than the situation now. So you have older homes and you have new homes, but you don't have anything which is available to everyone. But basically, together, everyone could learn how to build their homes. So they wouldn't, I mean, why not?
Yeah, I mean, there's Mike Reynolds building using old tires, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not a fire fan, but
Look, there are different systems. We can argue what's the best
Yeah,
system. It
back
doesn't matter. The
building,
point is, being far more aware of
The tire-
energy efficiency. That's what
the
we're
problem,
talking
energy
about.
efficiency is good. The tire thing, basically, I don't want any industrial products in my home because I don't know what they're made out of. I don't know what they're going to off gas. I don't want to sleep around a bunch of tires. I don't want to do that. But that's just me. But maybe everybody should do that. But I don't know. I can't make that judgment for everybody. But I think earth, straw,
Yeah.
clay, straw, mud,
Yeah.
tile, brick,
Yeah. Rocks.
Stone.
Yeah.
Wood, bamboo. Excellent.
Yeah. We need to get off cement.
I didn't mention cement.
Cement and sand.
Yes.
I mean, you talk about eco village. What did you call it? Not the restoration camp, but the villages. And depending where you are in the country, in our country,
I think this place is perfect.
we've actually got areas where we really can apply it. If I just look where we've just been, people have in the Eastern Cape. People all have half a hectare, 2 hectare plots. Their houses are spread out for bloody kilometers and kilometers. I mean, just a house with a plot with nothing happening on it. And actually, a good rainfall. Soils aren't bad. Soils are probably some of the deepest soils in the country. That's crazy. But we have to create that shift. And getting into those communities is really interesting. It really is, you need to be invited in. You have to go in listening, not telling.
Yeah.
And you have to sit with a lot of stuff where they now. And if you listen to the old people, they'll say, actually, we used to have hedges and grow things in this way. And everything we want to tell them to do, they used to do. So we have to actually invite the elders back in.
It's indigenous knowledge that's been
We have to honour it.
displaced, yeah.
And we have to make it cool for the youngsters to do it.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do.
So we found some youngsters. I'm falling in love with them. They feel hopeless. They haven't been doing anything. They've been shifted from school to school. They've dropouts. They've got black eyes because they've been fighting. And they've grown a little bit of a vegetable patch. And we found them. And the one guy who I just adore, his name's Aviva. He wasn't even part of our crew, and we just spotted him from far away. And he plays Ed Sheeran all the time. That's his inspiration. And he does his meticulous gardening. He's got like 6 beds, and they're meticulously done. And he goes and gets his watering can, and he does it every morning. And I said to him, after chatting a little bit, I said, if education and money wasn't an issue, what would you do in your life? And he's like this cool dude. He's got like sunglasses, and he's got like his cool outfit on. And he said, I want to be a gardener. That's all I want to do, but I don't know how. And the issue is, you were talking about learning. They don't have any access to the internet, and they don't have any access to books. So how do they learn? And so this is
Solve that immediately.
Exactly.
That's done in a moment.
We have the solution, but it's just so exciting to hear that and find these leaders just popping up saying, we want them, we're hungry, we are desperate for knowledge.
If we treat everybody equally, So what I recommend, I like a good meal. I recommend we have the best kitchen. We get great chefs.
Yeah.
Everybody in the camp eats the same food. We all live at the same level. So I'm 66. I don't want to sleep on the ground. Let's have a floor. Everybody has a floor. I think I want a bed. I don't want to sleep on the floor, so let's have a bed on top of the floor. Okay, everybody sleeps in a bed. Can we do that? If we have our shops, we can do anything. All right.
Make beds for everyone.
Yeah. We have composting toilets. We don't have any flush toilets. We don't put any shit in the water. That's intelligent. Okay. That alone, is a major thing to suddenly replace with something acceptable. So imagine that we make it so nice. I mean, it smells like lavender or rosemary. It's so wonderful, And so let's everybody has the same conditions. Everybody lives together, and everybody is the same. So the race issue is gone. Inside the ecosystem restoration camp. So if you extrapolate from that, you could take it out in the entire country. Certainly, if you had enough ecosystem restoration camps. So if the societal intention, now there's another issue that hasn't come up so much, because most people talk about like how much does it cost, who's going to pay for it, where does the money come from? Well, we have this desperate error in our economy. It's false, and we can't really deal with it because no one wants to talk about it. It's like there's a crazy guy over there, and you don't want to look at him because you might get infected with the craziness, But here it is. The economy's false. It doesn't have any basis. It's numbers. The numbers are given to the friends and cronies of the people who control the numbers. And there are billions of people who don't get any numbers. But there's no actual basis for any of these numbers. They don't mean anything. They're just numbers. So, this is a big problem. This is a very big problem. But it has to be discussed. It cannot be just left there hanging, So, all right, how do you deal with this? Well, it's much better, like people were saying, well, money's the problem. No, it's not. Money's a very good thing. Money is the main thing which keeps us peaceful right now. So the transactional economics that's going on, at least, nobody knows anybody, but, hand the money to the person, take the thing, and you leave, and there's no war. Yeah. Nothing, I didn't have to steal it, you didn't have to, it's done, it works. But the problem is the money doesn't mean anything. And who has money? So you have these people who are snorting cocaine on their way to their second Learjet or something. This is craziness. This is insanity. And then you have people who have nothing, who've lost their human rights over centuries and maybe millennia, but probably centuries. And so how do they get their rights back? How do they get, if they have no land, how did that happen? That they're landless. Where did they come from? So who has the land now? Well, they didn't come from here. So, and the people who were here have no land, and the people who came from someplace else have all the land. So we know what happened. It's not like we don't know. So that's about to be addressed, apparently, in this country. So you have to get that exactly right. Or otherwise, it's more like Rhodesia and Zimbabwe, and it's a whole big mess. And people flee and run, and you have a brain drain. You lose the actual people who you need to ensure that the country goes on. So, nobody wants to say it's okay, but it's not about blame and retribution for the past. It's about truth. And reconciliation, so that the stupidity doesn't go on any further. It stops now. So let's stop it, and then let's say, okay, everybody's equal. and this is a great country. So this country has tremendous opportunity because it's not like Europe is too domesticated. It's way overpopulated. It's way over industrialized. It's like postmodern. The United States, well, they're lost now. I don't know. I don't know what can happen. No, it's
too far gone.
It's ridiculous. No, it's not. California's working with the Native Americans, so theoretically you could get it back. So the thing is that the Native Americans, they cared for their land. Those gigantic trees were not wilderness. This was a big garden. So you had a gigantic garden which tribal people cared for 15,000 years. This is pretty impressive. So the fact that they did that actually shows that they were the superior civilization. But because of the brutality and the level of weapons, they were defeated. And history is written by the conquerors. So that suggested that humanity won, or somebody won. Well, nobody won if you set back human civilization by centuries. It's a terrible loss. So, but what is interesting about the thinking about the ecosystem restoration camps, though, is that, we could restore the earth. We could restore the entire earth. We're not just talking about like a little patch. We're talking about every degraded landscape on the planet. We could fix it. So there's no doubt about that. We could do that if that's our choice, actually. So if we choose that, we get it. If we don't choose that, then we're going to get something else. And I mean, we're seeing quite serious implications for what's happening. But what I think is great about this camps thing is that it answers all of the questions simultaneously. So if you just think we have climate change, and so now we have to reduce emissions and we have to restore hydrology and lower surface temperatures or something like this, and that's all you think is important, well, that's probably not going to work because the social fabric is ripped. It's in bad shape. So you're going to have to do more than that. So when you think about these when I think about the ecosystem restoration camps, I see them as holistic things. So actually, it solves the problem for humans. They all have meaningful work. They all have food. They all have a place to stay. And even though this is just temporary, it just basically gives them the skills to repeat that wherever they want to.